everyone. Welcome to this event, and thank you all for coming. We have been just having a little chat backstage. It's not backstage, you know what I mean, about this. And we've decided to confront this head-on early in the proceedings, because if we don't talk about it, it will be perverse and insane. So we are obviously, I think you probably imagine what we're all going to talk about is what befell the United States of America on Tuesday night, and to draw a kind of pale parallel with American Idiot and the era that was written in and the events that responded to in part. We are now looking at an album that has gone in at #1 around the world and is, again, in part a reflection of some of the developments, malign and otherwise, in Green Day's home country and elsewhere. And when we last met, I last met Billie Joe about 3 weeks ago in California, and I don't think I'm betraying a confidence to say that we both comforted each other in our certainty that Hillary Clinton was going to win the presidency. 3 weeks on from that, it's obviously a drastically different picture. And Billie, I'm asking you for an explanation of why you got it so terribly wrong.
Sorry about that. I don't think any of us were really prepared for this at all. I think if you look at what's going on in the States right now with the backlash and the everything about Trump's campaign right now is just the campaign alone. That's the start of his presidency. You're starting to see fallout already with anti-Semitism and white supremacist groups spray painting and kids in cafeterias around Mexican kids saying "build a wall," and this is becoming the new norm in the United States right now. So it's it's like no one was prepared, and you're on the other side. You're starting to see a lot more protesting going on. I think there was 100,000 people in the streets in New York, and I hope it continues. And I fucking hate Donald Trump. He's not my president. He doesn't represent probably a large half of the country. I don't think he even represents the people that voted for him. I think there's the working class people that want to change, and they are maybe somehow desensitized by all the racist rhetoric. And I think, and I don't think a lot of them actually are racist people, but the fact is we voted him in office, and hopefully something drastic will happen in the future where he's not in office anymore. So,
I mean, and Mike, there are demonstrations in Oakland as there are, all around the country, and that must be. I mean, you're over here now, so you're not detached from it, but you're not witnessing it on your home turf. But I mean, that is an area that has a kind of tradition of protest and all.
I just think people are going to have to, we're dealing with somebody who's been offensive on every level you can imagine, and they're now, he's somehow finagled his way into the presidency, and the truth is stranger than fiction right now, and this is all new. We're going to have to, keep our voices loud and keep them heard, and then, don't give up who we are and fight for our civil liberties, and.
And Trey, just to finish this, we'll move on. But you are, I mean, I'm trying to kind of think of a poster boy for a stereotypical, I use that word advisedly, Trump supporter's worst nightmare in a white adult male. And I'm looking here at Trey, and I'm being a bit glib about it, but actually I'm making a slightly more serious point in that that's the trivial end of the spectrum, but it's still the same spectrum. Your desire and ability to have your hair like it is, wear those trousers or whatever. I know that sounds like a kind of glib point, but it's actually it's over here, and down the other end is the swastikas being daubed on the thing. But it's part of, isn't it, the same mentality, which is to squeeze out difference.
I'm sure that they'll find something wrong with me, but I already miss Barack Obama. Yeah, it's sad.
The most important thing I think right now is just any of the kids that feel, or kids of all ages, that feel marginalized in any way, whether you're queer or trans or Mexican, black, brown, punk, metal, goth, whatever you choose to feel like you're living outside of the norm. Just make sure that these people know that they're safe at any Green Day event or concert, and they're in a safe place and environment to be the individual that they are. So that's really important.
So, 25 plus years into a recording career, you'll accept, I'm sure, and we all will here, that it's the exception rather than norm for any band who's been going that long to make music of any interest whatsoever. I mean, it's a very hard thing to do. As I said, it's a rarity. But I'm interested in, when we talked 3 weeks ago, is your decision to, following Uno, Dos, Tre, and I'm a believer in those records, and other people were a bit skeptical, but you took some downtime, you yourself got well, and then I think the significant thing was that you built a very small studio, and around the new album, without you realizing it, assembled the usual, the scaffolding, the major label, big band scaffolding, that we've got to get producer X or producer Y, and it was actually your decision to scale things right back that rejuvenated everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just wanted to get back into, I guess, our independence, and I think it's the first record since Kerplunk, really, that we've produced solely on our own. And it was great. It's like the studio's in a great neighborhood where it's like there's a record store close by, and there's like coffee, and like I think you can kind of feel the neighborhood in the record, because it's important to have good surroundings where when you're making art or music or whatever. So I think I think we got a couple songs into it, and then we're just looking at it. We're not going to get a producer, are we? And it's like, no, we've already come this far, so it seems to be working. I think that was the one thing we kept laughing about. We kept going, it's working. And so, yeah, Revolution Radio.
Plus, the studio was so small, I don't think we could fit another person in there.
That's true.
But I mean, that is so important and so hard to keep hold of. We like it or not, when you're in a position where, as I say, 25 years later, your album's going in at #1 in charts all around the world. Your tour dates over here sold out in minutes. It's so easy for bands to, without realizing it, succumb to the apparatus that surrounds them, and to lose sight of. I mean, I think you'd all admit there have been times in the past when that's been something you've flirted with, and you pulled it back from the brink on some occasions. I mean, I don't think I'm being inaccurate by saying that.
No, I mean, having a little bit of extravagant stuff happening I think it's fun, but at some point you got to, like, I think our way we live our personal lives has a lot to do with it, and every day I put on my sweatpants in the morning, and it's like, well, why should I put on real pants right now? And it's like, You know, I'm a dad, and I've got two sons that are 18 and 21, and that's humbling within itself. And I got a great wife, and she's cool. And you know, I think that it starts there, like where you just you know, you have to kind of have a reality check, and then let the music happen after that. You know, and I think what happens is a lot of bands want to kind of continue their hotel life and like maybe have a maid clean up their clothes and serve them their food, and the next thing you know, they're bankrupt. So for us, it's just, you know, I got an old beat up car, a Ford Falcon, and I built it. It was completely broken down. I rebuilt the thing, and I don't know. That's just kind of like the way we like to roll, really.
Yeah, and it's like when we met last month, we met at a hotel in Hollywood, and it's a place where quite a few bands stay. And Billy did his kind of, he's perfected it over the years. It's a kind of a anonymous shuffle, as it were. It's a kind of apologetic kind of backing into the walls as he walks along. So it's, I guess, not to be noticed. So he did the kind of anonymous shuffle into the restaurant where we were, where there was no one else. And then in the distance, outside under a palm tree, there was a member of One Direction. And the contrast, obviously, the musical one, but the fact is that the One Direction guy had a huge retinue around him to kind of signal his status. And you didn't. But was there a time when you did? I don't know. I don't even know you that well enough to know whether you... Because you're saying this now, and I've got no reason to disbelieve you. But was there a diva period in all three of your lives, actually?
Well, yeah. I mean, we're arrogant enough to play music.
Very good.
It's not like we had an entourage or anything, but I think in the past we were a bit more mischievous. We've had like some kind of wild years, and I think there's more people like kind of looking after us and babysitting and like, you know, picking up the broken TVs and paying off the hotels and stuff like that. So, but never like, you know, we never like rolled around with, I don't know, like supermodels and
yeah,
stuff
I
like
noticed
that.
that some guys, like some people will have so much security that it's like around them that they will, obviously there's someone there. There's like, you know, 10 security guards around this one person. Now, who could that person be? So it's kind of like, and that's how is that how you're supposed to be undercover? By having an entourage of security guards? It, you know, it makes no sense. So I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm short that people don't really notice me too.
So let's talk about the new record. I mean, we've discussed the way you approached making it. I've noticed with some of the reviews that again there's that temptation to slightly over-stress such parallels as exist with American Idiot, and it's a completely different record, written in a completely different era, about very, very different things. But people have kind of homed in, obviously, on Bang Bang, the lead single, because it's unambiguous in the sense that it addresses, you know, it's a story of this serial killer and his desire for celebrity and how social media is a huge part of that. And I sometimes wonder with you guys, when you're approaching something, is that there's all this outside thing, and we're going, oh, well, it's American Idiot too, and you know, it's obviously not that. Does it affect you sometimes, the thing that the mantle that's slightly been put on you over the years of, you know, you've got to hold up a mirror to society? You know, that part of Green Day's role, as it were, is to reflect society back at itself, to react to what's going on, rather than just songwriting. And I don't...
I don't know. We just, yeah, exactly what you were saying. We just reflect what's going on. You know, it's like we have this thing about mass shooting culture in our country, and I think it's like a lot of our songs come from one place in particular, and it's like feeling lost and having anxiety. I mean, it goes, even the anxiety goes back to like Basket Case or something, but it's. I think everything kind of sort of goes to that, like trying to make sense of what's the things that it will never make sense. And that's what a song like Bang Bang really comes down to. It's like the things about society that make no sense. And it's like the things about watching someone that is the biggest celebrity in the world that has absolutely nothing to offer the world. And or something like a mass shooting or something like that. So it's I don't know, man. We live in troubled times. So
Yeah, and I mean, you go. I remember when I first kind of heard the song, it made me immediately think of Mark Chapman and the leverage that Mark Chapman would have had today in the social media world compared to what he had in 1980. But it's a terrible thing to say, and I want this not to come out the wrong way. But can you imagine shooting John Lennon now? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like a kind of fantastical construct that was designed for social media, because we all go on social media to express things without thinking about it, and you write a song about it which is more considered. But do you go on social media? And I don't follow you. Does anyone follow it? Really do?
I mean, I have Instagram,
Yeah.
and it's like I've definitely posted things that probably shouldn't have been posted, because I mean, social media can be a place it can be a very miserable place to be, and it seems like it keeps turning in that direction as it devolves or evolves into what it is right now. And I think one thing at our shows, I see a lot of people holding up their cell phones and I just like, you can look at a screen at home, you can look at your computer, you can look at your phone anywhere, but take your picture, but like, let's have eye contact. Like, let's have a human experience right now that you can't capture on a cell phone. It's like, why would you want to listen to your favorite song going like this when you can just hear it right in front of you? So I don't know. I think it's a little more human contact is good.
Mike, we were talking before about how with the recent shows that you've been doing, and obviously doing material from the new album, that you just leapt in having played one of the songs once, and that actually that reconnected you slightly to the kind of very early days. And I don't know why more people don't do that. I suppose what it comes down to is a willingness to make mistakes. And it's so easy to kind of let go of that. And it must have been so important for you to be...
I think there's something about with a live show that there's an honesty to that. If we're willing to just make a mess, but there's a beauty to it too. I mean, we like to keep our shows as exciting for ourselves as the crowds want to see them. And sometimes that means jumping into a song that's 20 years old that we haven't played in forever, mistakes and all. But what's exciting is we're living that song in a live moment through people that have grown up with us, and that's pretty special. So.
And when you got back together, because Billy, I know that you started kind of prepping, demoing some material before you all convened in the studio that you built. And is it still as instant as it's always been? Is the bond between you such that if you get back into the studio, there's no awkwardness, or is it, slightly averted eyes and a bit of awkwardness? I mean, I'm trying to imagine that situation.
Yeah, I think when you go back in the studio, there should be awkwardness. Otherwise, you're not like trying to make new ground. So it's for us. It started with a kick drum. I think we went. How many kick drums did we go through?
A lot.
And it was just to find the one that sounded. Not that it had to be some it's like. Not that we needed like 10,000 didgeridoos or anything like that. It was like...
That would be an interesting album, actually.
Yeah. So we just wanted to have, take it piece by piece to try to find something that's subtly unique from what we've done before.
They all sounded good, but we wanted it to make the thing. You know what the thing is when you get it. It's like, okay, this one has the thing. That's.
And also, it struck me that you're bouncing off each other only. And I know you had a sound engineer there, obviously, but there's no one else. You can't hide behind a producer, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? You can't not have the conversation with each other because you haven't got the producer to kind of talk through should that be necessary or argue a case for a particular song, or you're alone.
Yeah, I think, and I think it's a lot easier than we thought it was going to be. Yeah. Like with a producer, sometimes you're like, let him deal with the complexities of like the recording process or the nerdy stuff. And for us, it was like, oh, yeah, it sounds good. I mean, let's just keep moving. There's no reason to, it doesn't always have to be in tune. Just like, let's just go. Yeah.
So look, I want to, in the limited time we have left, I'm going to invite some questions from you guys, and I haven't got a huge amount of time, so I'm going to be quite ruthless about this. Sorry in advance. So come on, hands up. You put your hand up first, over there.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
My name is Marie. I run the Green Day Inc. Brazilian fan site. So big fan. Thanks for being here. It's a three-part question. The first one, I remember you making a promise about maybe moving over to the UK in case Trump won. So will we be lucky enough to call you guys our neighbors in the near future?
I have been looking at apartments lately.
Probably not. Yeah, at the time when I posted that, at that point I was still telling a joke. I didn't think it was actually going to happen, but I just, he was saying so many offensive things that I was like, there's no way that this guy could get into office. But I've noticed something. I think you're from Brazil, right?
Yeah.
How come you don't have a flag with you?
I know, right? It's a big thing. Well, yeah. Half Brazilian, half Sweden. So
yeah.
Now, you said that there's a three-part. What are your other...
The other one.
One more part, okay?
Okay. What does it mean to feel like a cello's lost somewhere over the rainbow? What does that line from Too Dumb to Die actually mean?
I think a cello is like it can be really kind of deep and sad sounding instrument, and it's a really beautiful instrument. I think in the symphony it tells the story of like something that is hitting the bottom of your heart or something. So that's kind of where I got it's like, man, I feel like a cello. How do you feel today? I feel like a cello.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Hi, Rebecca Rayner. I'm with the Daily Star. I've got a question. I wanted to throw it back a little bit and reminisce on the early days of touring the UK and whether you have any memories of playing like our small venues or a particular favourite venue and kind of reflecting on that time.
The first thing that pops into mind is the nativity scene in Wigan. Yeah. And Trey was the Virgin Mary. It was around Christmas time.
Not again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a little play on stage. It's our whacked out version of nativity scene. There was an Easter bunny, all kinds of stuff.
Do you have a favourite small venue in the UK?
A favorite venue?
I mean, we've played a lot of great shows there. Yeah, I mean, a lot of great. We played the Garage. We had a great show there a while back after we played Wembley Arena. That was pretty amazing. So 2 shows in one night.
Man, the Astoria times, though. I remember we played a snooker hall once back in like 1991. And it was like all these tables, and then there was a thing in the back. It was just like a small room, and it was fun. It was, it was like, I think it was our first show in the UK ever, I think. I could be wrong.
Right, we have a question from this guy over here.
What is your favourite song that you've ever wrote, like from any album or from any of your songs? What's your favourite?
Well, God, I don't know. Oh God, now I'm forgetting the name of my own damn song.
What's yours?
Letter Bomb.
Jesus of Suburbia.
All right.
Good one.
That was good.
Hi. Your album obviously is called Revolution Radio. Just taking the word revolution, do you think it's important for, especially in light of recent days, for musicians to kind of promote revolution amongst people? Do you think it's up to the musicians, or do you think it's up to the people themselves if they dispute something?
Well, I almost think the title has changed in the past couple of days. Gosh, I mean, the song was almost, in a certain respect, was kind of, it's like a love song to the people that come to our shows and the crowds and people singing along. And especially like in England when it's like, you know, people here love their music. And they dance hard and they sing hard and they do it in this way where it's a sense of unity. I would say probably more so than the United States in some of the gigs. But it's just different. But now with Revolution, you know, it's, gosh, there's people that are talking about it right now that it's taking on a much more powerful meaning than just the song. So it's, we'll see what happens. And as far as other artists, I mean, you know, it's pretty early to tell right now.
Hello, Green Day.
Ian.
Hello. I am annoyed that our own Brexit decision robs me of the opportunity to be disdainful about American politics. But I did want to ask, why do you think, given the times that we live in, there are so few rock bands writing political music?
I think as far as young bands, I think when you grow up, when you're born into the George Bush administration, and now you're kind of at the, I think a lot of people, you know, they're tired of seeing in the news of like, it's kind of like the Undertones when they, coming from Northern Ireland, they live in war. And they see it every day, and they saw it every day on the television. They saw it every day. So like, people get different inspiration, and it's almost like, it's almost more like revolutionary to write a song like Teenage Kicks, you know. So I don't know. That's my guess.
I've got one. This is going to be a really, really quick one. All right. Super quick last question. I'm sorry, anyone else who wanted to ask. We're running out of time. Sorry.
Hi, Siobhan here. You're incredible, by the way. In light of the current elections, any chance of a quick I Walk Along song?
Say again?
In light of the current elections, any chance of a quick rendition of I Walk Alone?
Oh,
Imperfectly perfect.
Or Minority.
You know, or Champagne Supernova. No. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. And with that, thank you, guys. We've got to wrap it up now. And thanks for coming. And thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.